Yo, what's up everyone? Today I have a very special video for you guys. As some of you guys know, I've been working on this 100 Dead by Daylight tips and tricks video with my close friend Zaka, one of the best Dead by Daylight players out there. Both of us have 30,000 combined hours. Even then, some of these things in this video, both of us recently found out about them. So I promise you, even the more advanced players are gonna learn many new things. And other than that, I hope you really enjoyed this video. Oh, lastly, remember to use code SWE in the item shop. Most of the money goes back to the community during my Twitch streams, so I hope to see you guys all there. Enjoy. The first ever tip, I see a lot of survivors just standing completely still in loops, which is not ideal at all. Your survivor character doesn't start at full running speed. It takes a moment to accelerate. So whenever you're walking or moving in place, you gain your momentum a split second faster, which could be the reason you make it to a pallet or window to deny a hit. Try to always move around anywhere in the map unless you don't want to be seen by the killer. Then, yeah, just stand still and hide. A good tip to integrate into all of your games. If you're looping a pallet or running towards a pallet, you let go of the sprint button the second you want to pull down the pallet. Because if you don't let go of the sprint button and you just keep running into the pallet, you don't get the pull down prompt as early as if you had stopped running. I don't know why it's like that, but here, as you can see, we're looping the exact same direction, but at the time where I let go of sprint, I get the prompt instantly. Unlike if I just held it down and run by it. As well, it makes it so much more smoother and easier, as you can see in this comparison. When I'm not letting go of the shift button, I don't even get the prompt until it's very late. But when I do let go of shift and start walking or standing still instead, I get it so much more earlier. This is such a huge tip because it could be the reason you get the stun on the killer, rather it taking too long and you get hit. I see a lot of people just run to the pallet and spam space, which will always end up in a mess. But if you do this, the timing is so much more easier. The killer momentum tick. One of the best tips in this video that will change your playstyle by a lot. If you're ever mind gaming a pallet, for instance, the second you run into the loop, you change directions with your movement keys, either A button if you're going left or D button if you're going right. And with controller, you use your left joystick either to go left or right depending where you want to go to. What it does, it keeps your max movement momentum and it makes it that you can go around loops much faster. Rather than just changing direction to mind game, start doing this and you'll find yourself momentum taking over and over again in certain loops until the survivor makes a mistake and you get a hit on them. If you're not momentum ticking, the survivors can react to your movement much easier and it's harder for you to gain distance on them. Every decent killer out there uses this tick in every single one of their games, and you should do it as well. Here's the killer doing no momentum tick and just trying to mind game you. As you can see, it's very easy to react to it, and as well, your movement looks like you're not looking to the direction you're going to, so that as well mind games the survivor, which also is on top of you keeping your momentum. That's another thing that it does. So start doing it. Trust me, it's gonna elevate your playstyle by a lot.
When you're looping as a survivor, there are certain spots on almost every loop in the game that you can just sit and camp to see the killer's movement or mind games. According to this, you can react to it. These are called check spots. Every loop has a different one, but some of them are really unsafe, which makes it a 15. You have a 50% chance to get hit or win the mind game. You need to learn them all and have them memorized, because if you check spot in every tile, you will never get hit unless you mess up or the killer has an anti-loop power. There are so many check spots that it honestly needs a separate video to showcase them all.
Alright, this is a big one. This tip you should be always using in every game you play from now on. As a killer, when you drop from an elevation that's over 2 meters, I think, it will be impossible to redirect your character when you're falling from a great height. So if you pre-swing right before you drop down, while dropping, you will be able to redirect your movement much easier rather than just dropping down. This works as well when you have a survivor on your shoulder. As you can see right now, without the swing, the killer is trying to drop down and go through the tunnel right under, but you fly so much forward, losing you a lot of distance rather than swinging down instantly, being under the tunnel. On top of that, if you pre-lunge earlier, you will gain a bit of distance before dropping down, because when you're in lunge, you're a bit faster than walking. As you guys know, that after swinging, you're in a cooldown, but it doesn't matter if you're dropping down, because your cooldown will be while you're in the air, meaning it will be over once you touch the ground. And another tip on this one, same concept as swinging your weapon. If you realize that you're getting shift-ticked or can't gain chase on survivor, to be able to have the window they are looping blocked after 3 vaults, because in chase, after 3 vaults, a window blocks. So what you can do as a killer, especially on Trapper with no chase ability, you swing forward towards the survivor, mostly during corners so they don't expect it. That tiny boost will be enough to get you closer to them and start chase, because as I said earlier, you're much faster during a lunge. I know that's a lot to take in. I hope it makes sense.
This tip is very helpful. Whenever you want to get a fastball on a window, you should not spam the ball button or instantly press it, because if you are way too close to the window, you won't get a fastball, instead it will be a medium. To get a fastball, you ball the window very late. It's because to get it, you need to be on full momentum, or you don't get it instantly as a survivor, like showcased earlier. It takes a split second from walking to hitting max momentum. Here is a comparison of my spam bolting. As you can see, I don't get a fastball and only mediums. But if I press the ball button once I have enough momentum, you will get a fastball much more easier. An extra tip, whenever I try to get a fastball easier, I am at the edge of the window. It makes it that your character vacuums to the window instead of medium bolting from a different angle.
A lot of people don't know that you can manipulate your survivor breathing to get quieter. It's amazing to do it against Spirit while she's phasing and Dracula in his bat form, because during that time they cannot see you at all, but they can hear you. So it's very vital to be as quiet as possible. This is how you do it. Right after you walk, you stop for a split second, then start walking again or stand still if you wish to. So every time your character stands still after running or walking, you stop to reset your breathing sounds, especially if you're playing a loud character. Here is a comparison of me just running then walking right after. As you will see, I still make breathing sounds for a few seconds after I stop running, compared to standing still after I run for a split second to instantly get rid of the breathing sound. I like to teabag once right after standing still. I'm not really sure if it helps at all though. Honestly, the best way to do it, if you're just running and running and running, just stop for a split second and then just start walking. And then you can keep spamming it over and over again to almost have no breathing sound whatsoever. It's amazing to do in normal loops where the killer don't have a line of sight of you. You can use that to your advantage to leave the loop completely, because the killer has no idea where you are, because they can't see you and they can't hear you. Short swinging. This trick is mostly consistent only for low ping killers. If you're in a pallet standoff or you're trying to hit the survivor before they drop the pallet, you can short swing by tapping the attack or swing button to instantly hit the survivors even if they drop the pallet and stun you. You can do it on higher ping, but it's much harder. You would think having higher ping on killer is always better, but not in this scenario. There is a much higher chance of you not getting the hit than only getting stunned. When you're going against a Springtrap and you see the number pad on the door blinking, meaning that he's teleporting to that door, you could time it on the 4th blink and enter the door at the exact moment and then teleport through it. He won't be able to grab you whatsoever. It looks insane because sometimes it shows like you're going through Springtrap, but you need to time it perfectly, otherwise you'll most likely get grabbed for nothing. Spirit is already a very strong killer, but you can make her even stronger by following this tip. If you fully walk up to a drop pallet and press the S button one time to walk backwards, you can block the pallet completely. Then you phase around trying to hit the survivor, and if they vault, they'll get stuck or body blocked on your husk, which will always lead to a free hit 100% of the time. This also works on windows, but if the survivor fast vaults a window, you can't block them no more.
Finesse is one of the strongest perks in the game, but sometimes having it can be a bottleneck to your gameplay. If you are trying to fastball a really tight window, you will not be able to. It's a bug that makes it impossible. So keep that in mind the next time you equip this perk.
I mean, it's still amazing to run Finesse. It can help you win 50s and much more other things, but there's some certain loops in DBD that you can never ever get a fast vault if you have Finesse. But without Finesse, you can always hit one. There's this trick that you can do as a killer, but it's one of the hardest ones to pull off. This trick works very well with an insta-down killer like Hillbilly or Bubba. If you're right behind a survivor that is fully healthy and they're making it to a pallet or window, instead of just hitting them with your weapon to injure them, you lunge around the survivor to the pallet, blocking the prone so they cannot vault or use it at all. Make sure though you're looking up so you don't get auto-aimed at the survivor and hitting them by accident. Then proceed to use your insta-down ability to fully down them instead of just hitting them with your weapon and letting them get a lot of distance. This is also good with any other killer. If you know the survivor has dead hard, you can do the exact same thing to block them and wait out dead hard. It's one of the most advanced tricks and very hard to pull off, as I said earlier. But yo, it is very satisfying to pull off. One extra tip only for the Wraith. If you're in cloak form chasing a survivor on a pallet loop, sometimes the survivor will wait by the pallet until they can stun you. But there is something really risky you can do that might pay off. You literally just walk past the pallet not giving a damn and blocking the pallet drop prompt for the survivor, which will grant you a free hit. But as I said, it's very risky because if you get stunned in cloak form, you will be stunned for a very long time. If you're injured or about to die and have nothing around you to save you, but you see a double lockers, what you can do is enter one of them and instantly hop out the second the killer is about to open it. And what could happen is that the killer can accidentally vacuum to the other locker and they open it up instead of the one you're in. Because when you go out, your character pushes them a bit away. It is very, very inconsistent though, and the killer needs to be coming from the side of the locker that you're not inside of. But if you have nothing else, it's worth a shot. If you have really, really low ping, which is around 40 or less, and you have the perk Resilience on, you can time the unhook with the hit you will be taking to instantly unhook the survivor without needing a second teammate to help you. The second after you unhook, you go straight inside of the other survivor and let them play for a body hit. But sadly, this only works if you got Resilience and your ping is very low.
When carrying a survivor, if you are not sure that you can make it to the hook or not, you can start counting their grunts while they are wiggling. They need 10 grunts to wiggle out, and you can drop on the 7th without them breaking free. If you dropped after more than 7 grunts, they will instantly wiggle off.
There is a tech with Ghoul called Slingshot, which makes your leap so much more faster. It is so fast that it looks like you're teleporting around the map. This is how the tech works. After you use your first leap, you pre-aim at the next spot you want to slingshot off while you're spamming your mouse 1 button. For example, I place my leap on a tree, and while I'm leaping, I spam my action button on a tree right behind it. And after that, you start zooming around the map. It takes a little bit of practice, but once you get it done, it's gonna change up your Ghoul playstyle by a lot. Crouch Tekken. There are certain killers in Dead by Daylight where you can abuse the crouching ability in the game against, and it makes it much harder to be hit by those killers. It works against Demo while he's using his shred ability, Blight when he's rushing, as well against Billy while he's using his chainsaw. But remember, if the Blight is very experienced and they know you're about to crouch tech them, they can hit you if they look down right before swinging. But if you do have a set of stairs or a hill that goes down, it is much easier to perform the crouch check against these killers. Even if they do hit you right in the middle, they would still miss. A very, very niche unknown tip versus Oni. Not a lot of people know about this. Whenever you're injured and dropping blood, normally you drop 2 blood orbs every few seconds. But if you time your crouch right before the blood drops, you only drop 1 blood orb. So Oni will have a longer time to get his power. Only downside, if you do it in chase, people will think you're teabagging, and you might lose a bit of distance, so do it only if you won't get downed. But remember to time your crouch perfectly. If you do it too early, you will drop blood much earlier, and it will be the same as dropping 2 blood orbs because it's more frequent. So always try and time it right. And no, this is not a bug at all. It does say this in the wiki. This exit gate trick will be the reason you make it out when you're the last person alive. Remember, an exit gate has 3 lights. The first one lights up at 25%, the second one at 50%, and the last one at 75%. Right before the first light is lit, you can let go at the perfect timing, which is 24% at the progress bar, right before the first light lights up. And if you can't tell the progress, just let go right before it reaches the letter A in the word escape. This will trick the killer into thinking that you have no progress on the exit gate, and once you're sure the killer left to check the other gate, you proceed to fully open it. And that progress you pre-place on the exit gate could be the reason you open it up in time. However, this won't work if the killer has a view of both exit gates at the same time. Then you're pretty much cooked. Some maps in this game can be really annoying if you're trying to find a hiding survivor, but if you're playing the Spirit, you can spam your ability button to see survivors in bushes, or if they're blending very well with the environment around them. They will flash dark orange and it's very subtle, so you should pay good attention to it, otherwise you're going to miss it. I know it sounds crazy, but that's how our power functions. If you're looking at a survivor when using your power, their body will be scanned with some yellow light. A lot of good spirits sometimes spam click their power to find survivors hiding like this. Sometimes the smallest mind game is the best. You can microfake almost every loop in the game. How it works, you do a slight movement to trick off the killer that you're not going to the window or pallet in front of you to bait them to commit to you instead of mind gaming it. Then right after the microfake, you vacuum vault the window or pallet. It puts killer in a scenario where if they don't commit to you, you don't ever vault and you keep on running away. But if they do commit to you, you just vault and win the mind game. But you can also do this as a killer where you fake going one side then instantly commit to another side. Basically, you can microfake almost everything. There is a way to trick a killer that is tunneling you right after being unhooked. But before I tell you about it, look at these bots in my custom game. All 3 of them are running to save me at the same time, like a line of ducks. And then in the end, proceed to sandbag me as well. Alright, as you guys know, there's a 15-second endurance window after you get unhooked that will protect you from going down if you take a hit during that time. But remember, in the next update, it will be 10 seconds of endurance instead of 15. But if you have Dead Hard equipped, you can pre-use it at around 13 seconds or so to trick the killer into thinking that the 15-second endurance has worn off and that you're using Dead Hard to save yourself. But in reality, you still have a few seconds left of endurance. Honestly, it's not always consistent because some killers will count down or have a timer on, but it's worth a try if you have nothing else around you. If you didn't know, as a killer, you can't just lunge backwards. It doesn't work at all. It makes you stand completely still. But there is a way around it. If you press the going back key, which is S on keyboard, while doing that, you press the key that's directed towards the loop. So here in this clip, I'm holding down S key and D at the same time, while I'm holding down the swing button. But if the loop is to the left side, instead of holding D, you hold A. And honestly, it's the same logic for controller. You just use your left joystick and you maneuver with it. If you're in chase against a Blight or a Billy, you can crouch near pallets when they're about to hit you with their power. What that does, it makes your hitbox smaller, so there's a chance that they will get auto-aimed at the pallet. It can also work versus a Bubba, but it's very, very risky. Against Bubba, it's better doing it on a breakable wall because those have a much bigger hitbox than pallets. It will be easier to get Bubba to auto-aim at them. It's one of the most satisfying things to pull off, but a very good killer will play very careful to not get auto-aimed at the wall or pallet. Against Night, you can use windows and pallets in chase to outloop the bot and change the direction of where you want to run towards, because they always take the same path you took to the window or pallet. As you can see, if you do it correctly, the pallet or window will have a green aura on it. That means the guard will run towards there and you can run around it instead of taking a hit or zoning yourself. You can also help your teammate that's getting tunneled out by the Knight, or simply they're just injured. You hide around them, and the second the Knight uses his guard, you steal the guard from them. If you do that, that makes Knight powerless in that chase. There is a lot of pay-to-win skins that make characters quieter and help you win more games. For example, Tommy skin for Spirit, the new Face Melter Eddie skin for Huntress, Murderous Grizzly for the Oni, and the Trapper skin Naughty Beer, and lastly the William Birkin Blight, but that one is pay to lose because that skin is very loud, so do not buy it unless you really love it. But there's many other ones. These were just a couple of examples. But here's a comparison of the Teddy skin. You can barely hear him vault compared to a normal Trapper skin. If you're running Lithe and you're being zoned by a Billy or a demo, you can time the vault the second they break the pallet with their power. What that does, it gives you life, and that will give you another chance of surviving. And you just zoom away. This is like a last resort thing, and ping matters a lot with this one. As well, if you do it too early or too late, you're probably gonna die. If you're going against a Legion and they want to vault over a pallet or window, you can keep on vaulting it over and over again. On windows, it will get blocked after 3 vaults. But on pallets, you can keep on doing it over and over again until they run out of power or they just leave the pallet alone. Also, it works if you're running any means necessary. A lot of Legions will run the Iridescent button add-on where it breaks the pallet they vault over. So it's very important to deny them the vault so they can't break the pallet. This trick also works against Ghoul, Onryo, and Wraith as we showcased earlier, but it's a bit riskier because you need to know the exact timing, otherwise they'll get a hit on you if you're too early or too late. Careful against Onryo. If she's in demanifested form, she will try to be on the same side where you drop the pallet while manifesting and instantly hit you during the pallet drop animation. So you really need to time the pallet stun and the vault in. Same logic against Wraith and Ghoul. Wraith will pre-uncloak, so the second you vault over it, he will uncloak and hit you. Ghoul is the hardest one to do against because he can instantly cancel power, so you need to be paying much more attention. Basically, less room for error. If you're playing against a Bubba, lockers are your best friend. If you're fully healed up and you can't make it to a safe spot while the killer is chainsawing you, you can enter a locker, and the second the killer's chainsaw goes on cooldown, you fast vault out of it and make it to a pallet. But listen, you have to time it perfectly, otherwise he will be able to grab you, or you go out too early and you get chainsawed. So if the Bubba use only 1 charge, you sit in the locker for around 2 seconds. If it's 2 charges, it's 3 seconds. 3 charges is about 3 seconds and 20 milliseconds. So basically, the more charges they've used, they're gonna have longer tantrums. It's not really that hard to tell how many charges the Bubba have used. Just keep on track on how long he's been chainsawing. And some Bubbas will try and manipulate the time. So on the second charge, for instance, instead of waiting out the charge to fully end, they instantly bump in into the locker, so you think they've only used one charge, but in reality they used two. Honestly, this is a tip I don't see anyone actually performing it correctly every single time. I'm not gonna lie, most of the times I go out too early and get hit by the chainsaw. So it's very inconsistent depending on how perfectly you time it, and sometimes ping can makes it much harder to time it. So yeah, it's a good last resort thing, but don't think it's always gonna work out. For all the chest and plunders instinct lovers out there, there is a trick that will save you a few seconds on opening a chest. It's been in the game for the longest time I remember, and it's very simple. This is how the trick goes. The second the progress bar reaches 100%, you press one of your movement keys like A, D, or W, but sometimes it's very inconsistent. So what I do, I just spam press a movement key instead of pressing it once. Instead, it skips that animation where the survivor takes forever to open up the chest, and that will honestly save you like a second or two. There is a trick with Nemesis where after you shoot your tentacle, you can drag it to the side, either left or right. You can only redirect the head with your movement keys, so don't use your mouse to flick because your camera gets locked after you shoot. It's good to use against survivors that are juking your hits a lot. Most of the times you can use it when cutting corners, but you can even start pre-shooting around loops, even at a wall, as you can see here. It's because the power lingers a bit after the initial hit. And honestly, the worse ping you have, the crazier hits is gonna look like. Against Springtrap, if someone is about to get grabbed from a door, you can pre-aim your flashlight at the door where his head is going to be at, and you will get the save 100% of the time. Honestly, I don't really know the exact timing, but for me, I always start blinding right after the door closes. It's honestly really easy to pull off. This is a simple but game-changing tip. There is a setting in the accessibility tab called Heartbeat Visual Support. Certain killers in Dead by Daylight, depending how far they are from you, you don't hear a terror radius at all. They will have a faint lullaby instead. And some killers like Onryo, you can barely even hear her coming until it's too late. Honestly, this setting is amazing against every killer in the game, but mostly against Onryo, Trickster, Huntress, Freddy, Slinger, and Houndmaster in search form. This is one of the best tips you can use against Nemesis. Most of the times when you're doing a generator, a zombie will start chasing you, and what you can do to avoid that, you walk away from the gen and make the zombie follow you. Then you walk up to the zombie, make it swing at you, but make sure to not get hit. Then you walk behind the zombie's back and crouch, which will make it lose you. I don't know if this does it more consistent, but I run to the other corner of the back of the zombie from the corner I started at. I don't know if that makes sense, but as long as you're a couple of meters away from the zombie. This also works if you have like a tree or a rock beside you. You can make the zombie swing and then you run behind it and crouch. But if you have nothing at all, you can do this. One of the easiest tricks you can implement. As a demo, you can look down and your character model will lower its head in certain loops, which make it that the survivor cannot see where you are, which gives you an advantage to mind game or double back. It can work on some other killers like Slinger for example, but it's the easiest to execute on demo. It is a bit hard because you gotta look back so they don't see the red light going through the wall, and at the same time you gotta look down and redirect your movement. So it's very tricky to get it perfectly, but once you master this, you'll become a much better demo. And there is many other loops you can do this on, not just this one. And make sure to always pet the puppy. Singularity can be one of the most frustrating killers to loop because he can just spam teleport on you, but I have a solution for you because his power always teleports him 2 meters behind you. So if you vault the window and face the window with your back, they will always teleport on the other side of the window. But make sure to not hug it, otherwise you'll get hit through it. Same thing for pallets. If you face them with your back, he will teleport on the pallet instead and break it, which will slow down the singularity and his power will be on cooldown. That should give you enough time to reach the next loop. So basically he always teleports right behind your back. A really simple tip that can come in handy if you're playing Myers. If you start charging up your slaughtering strike when your evil incarnate mode is about to expire, you can get the full lunge even while your power has expired. It's a really good tip because it can get you a free down when otherwise it would seem impossible. Against Nemesis, sometimes you'll run into a dead zone with no tiles or pallets. Or you're in a loop but Nemesis is holding you zoned because there's a zombie walking up to you. You can use that for your advantage. If you run around a zombie in chase with Nemesis, you can use it as a shield to deny a hit and gain distance. You run to the zombie and make it swing, and then you wrap around it, which might make Nemesis try and hit you but hit the zombie instead. and that will give you a little bit of distance to make it somewhere. But you have to be careful, because if you mess it up, there's a chance that the zombie and the nemesis will hit you at the same time, and you will go down. In my opinion, Plot Twist is one of the best anti-slug perks in the game. Unlike Unbreakable, you can use it twice per game, and once whenever you want, and the second time when the last gen is popped. On top of that, it gives you 2 health state, which is worth 2 medkits of value, and the killer won't be able to slug you at all. If you combine it with Decisive Strike, the killer will be in a lose-lose situation. Either pick you up and you get Decisive Strike value, or he slugs you and you get fully healed up and 50% haste for 4 seconds after you get picked up. But there is a way to cheese Plot Twist usage without the killer knowing you used it. The exact moment when you're about to get downed, you use your Plot Twist and go down like usual, which makes the killer have no way of telling if you used it or not. And if they end up slugging you, boom, you're free and full health. A few updates ago, an unannounced feature was released. A survivor can't pallet stun save if they try to drop the pallet from the same side as you. You can use that to your advantage and pick on the same side of the survivor that is trying to pallet save, and they shouldn't be able to drop the pallet whatsoever. And if they end up going for the save, you get a free hit. Tired of getting stunned on every pallet as Billy? I got a solution for you. Start canceling your chainsaw right as you're going to be in the pallet stun range. What that does is that allows you to instantly break the pallet if the survivor drops it, meaning you will instantly break it with no risk of getting stunned at all, and you can instantly catch up to survivors. Remember though, you have to be very careful. If the survivor is good and they know you might pull this off, they will greet the pallet, which makes you cancel for nothing. Against good survivors, it can be very, very difficult. There are some certain obstacles on the maps that you can slide off as some dashing killers. One of them is Twins, in particularly Victor. He can slide off some obstacles to get some insane and cool looking hits like this one. I'm not really a professional Twins gamer at all, so I don't really know what I'm doing, apart from knowing that you can bounce off in many spots around almost every map in the game. Heartbeat reading with no chase and with chase music. The louder the heartbeat gets, the closer the killer is. And there's a couple of layers to it. With the chase music is much harder to hear. If you pay close attention in chase, you can tell the difference between the heartbeat rate and sound depending how close or how far away the killer is. Paying attention to it can help you in many scenarios where you don't have a check spot to see where the killer is at. There are so many tips and tricks to reading heartbeat that it needs a separate video for it, sadly. And depending on the killer, the heartbeat is always going to be different. Here's a little showcase to show how the heartbeat is changing, depending on how close the killer is from you. If you're running the perk Decisive Strike, or its new name Will to Live, honestly that gotta be one of the worst DVD name changes of all time. And if the killer is Springtrap, the best play after being unhooked is that you enter one of his doors and teleport as far away as possible, which puts the killer in a spot where if they follow you through the door, they will get 100% Decisive Strike, unless of course you miss it. Or if they don't want to get Decisive Strike, they don't go through the door, giving you massive amount of distance. So whichever play they do, they will lose on it no matter what. And maybe that play will make them just leave you alone. As we all know, if a survivor is dropped from an elevation that is higher than 2 meters, they will get staggered. So you can use that to your advantage as a killer. If you know a survivor is about to wiggle off no matter what you can do is drop them off from an elevation if there is one beside you. Usually basement or hill, for example. Once you've dropped them down, they will be locked in place for a moment because of the stagger that they get from falling from a great height, making them gain no distance on you, and you can down them unless they got a pallet or window literally right beside them. As artists, you can set up what we call a slingshot. You aim 2 bursts at a gen or a hook or any place that you think a survivor will be at. Then you go forward approximately 2 tiles worth of distance. Then you put 1 bird aiming at the same direction. If you place it perfectly, you can injure up to 2 survivors on a gen. 3 survivors if you have Ink Egg add-on, which increases your bursts to 4. But here how it works. The first bird will infect everyone on the gen, and before they can react, the other 2 birds will approach them in time to injure them as shown in the clip. Dracula tip. If Dracula tries to mind game you on a window or drop pallet in bat form, you can just react to his transform animation. You can literally camp the pallet or window and the killer can do nothing because you can always react in time without getting hit. So don't stress at all spam vaulting, just wait there calmly until he fully comes out because there is a small delay before he can swing, and during that time you just vault. There's this trick with Slinger, but it only works if you're in a very high elevation. What you do, you shoot them and keep reeling them, and once they start falling, you break your chain. This trick is more efficient if you're running the add-on cigar box, because it gives you no fatigue whatsoever. What that does, it gets them injured, and when they fall down, they get put in a stagger. While during that time, you recover from your fatigue, and then proceed to 2-tap them instantly, meaning hit them a second time right after your first.
Killers like the Lich, Nightmare and Onryo can use their power to face to the survivors. Let's say you're trying to down a survivor and another one tries to take a hit. As Lich, you can use your flight to literally jump over them. You don't have to activate it, you just have to spam the M2 button, and you will lose collision. As the Nightmare, you have to be right behind them and then snare them. Onryo is the simplest one. You can just demanifest and face to them.
Shift taking is one of the most advanced techs in Dead by Daylight. If you're in chase and you vault the window 3 times, it blocks for a very long time and you can't vault it during the period. But the tech manipulates the chase mechanic, because chase only starts if the killer has a line of sight of you while you're in the running animation. So as a survivor, when the killer cannot see you, you run, but the second they have line of sight of you, you start walking, which never ever starts chase. And you can keep on doing this over and over again and vault the window as many times as you can until you mess up and the chase starts. Start practicing at Shack window. Once your shift tick is perfect, you can start shift ticking all over the map.
As the Demogorgon, you can slide off obstacles to get some really cool hits like in any car loop on auto heavy maps.
As you can see, you can hit some insane slide hits, and there's many other loops that you can do this on, but mostly it's consistent on these car loops.
If you're against Lich, you can counter the Meatshield power when the pallet is dropped. After he uses his Meatshield to pick up a pallet that's dropped, you can instantly run into the middle and spam Silver to drop the pallet. It always works unless he has the brown glove add-on, and if he tries to hit you, he will get stunned 100%.
Unless the pallet is not dropped, this doesn't work at all, and Vecna is going to be able to hit you before you can even drop it. So only do it if the pallet is dropped.
Ghostface is one of the weakest healers in DBD. If you know that your stalk meter isn't high and he's gonna stalk you while you are zoned, run into the Ghostface to reveal him and force someone to go somewhere safer. To make sure revealing him is easier, try to center his character model right in the middle of your screen. The higher pin you have, the easier is it to reveal him beyond obstacles. The combo Fixated and Chambers of the Light is actually insane. If you are using your flashlight, you will be walking at the same speed as if you were running. You can use it versus Spirit when she's facing, or against Dracula on bad form. You will be moving fast without leaving scratch marks or making any breathing noises.
Which is crazy, because if you're running normally without Champions of Light, it will be much easier for the killer to keep track of you, because running footsteps are way too loud. Versus killers that use audio to track you, mostly Spirit, Dracula, as well as can work against Dredge, you can drop your item right by the pallet or window, and what that does, it makes the same sound as if you slow vaulted. It can bait a Spirit to go to the other side, a Dredge teleporting back to his remnant, or a Dracula to come out of bat form on the wrong side. You can also produce the same sound if you use any means necessary. Be careful though, Spirit can see you dropping your item mid-phase. When you're in chase, often you will lose sight of the killer and you will have to guess where they are or listen to their heartbeat. But most of the killers, you can listen to a certain audio cue they do passively every few seconds, either breathing, laughing, footsteps, or growls. Use that to your advantage to keep track of the killer's location so you don't get mind gamed or give a hit or down. Some of the killers are completely silent like Jason, but here, if you pay real close attention, you can hear the breathing.
On Wraith, you can pair turn back the Cloaked with the Serpent Run add-on to damage a gen while you are cloaked. You can use this while chasing a survivor to unlock instantly without slowing down. Most of the time, it will cast the survivor's off guard for a free hit or down.
This works because the Serpent add-on makes it that if you damage a generator, you instantly uncloak. And the perk Turn Back the Clock instantly damages a generator, which makes you uncloak. Many players don't know that against an Oni, if you enter a locker while injured, you don't drop any bloods at all, which will deny his power. What you can do is enter a locker and tell your teammates where you are so they come to you instead of you running to them and dropping loads amount of blood. Don't do this if you're not in communication, otherwise you're gonna sit in a locker for the whole game. Here's an extra tip. While Oni activate his power, you don't drop any blood at all, so you can do whatever you want. As well, try to avoid vaulting or going in and out of locker because those actions drop massive amount of blood. Only do it if that's the only way for you to survive. Dramaturgy is one of the most popular and fun perks to play in Dead by Daylight. You can optimize its value more if you're not in chase. Whenever you're doing a gen or doing nothing, you can use it off cooldown to farm items over and over again. But once I get the exposed status effect, that's when I stop using it. Because with Dramaturgy, you can't get the same effect twice in a row, meaning you won't ever get exposed if you use it in chase. So use that for your advantage instead of just letting it sit there. Many people have no idea that as a Wraith, you can block the survivor's vault prompt on windows. Whenever these cheeky survivors keep on vaulting over and over again while you're in cloak form, if you place yourself on the correct way, you can trap them without being able to vault back and get a free hit. You can also do this on pallets, but it's very inconsistent. Maybe once every 30 tries, so it's not really worth doing it. The way to do it though, you gotta be on the left side of the window. It also works on the right side, but for me it feels so much more inconsistent. And block like 25% of it the second they're vaulting into you. Obviously it needs a little bit of practicing to get it perfect, but it is very simple. Extra tip for the Wraith. If you're running the add-on Swift Hunt Blood, you will always get a hit if you uncloak the second you're touching the survivor. But without that specific add-on, you will not be able to get the hit. Pyramid Head is a really strong anti-loop killer, which you can make him even stronger if you follow this tip. You can hold down your power while walking into a pallet and react or predict the survivor drop. You can hit them 100% even if they get the stun on you. You can pair it with the add-on Obsidian Goblet, which makes you a monster with this tech. What it does, it makes your power be able to break pallets. So if you pull that combo off, you injure them and break the pallet at the same time. I went against this build the other day and I'm not gonna lie, it was hell. It is very possible to blind Legion out of power. What I do is vault a window or a pallet and wait for the Legion to vault it off to me, and then I start blinding them. As well, you can also blind Spirit while she's phasing. It's usually not good because it can help her track you better, but if you're not being chased and you want to help your injured teammate, it might be a good idea. Against the Hag, if you know there's a trap somewhere, it's better running towards it while looking back, because the second you trigger it, your character will look straight away from it and instantly run away, losing no distance whatsoever during the camera switch. If the Hag instantly teleports to you and swings, she will never hit you. Unlike if you're looking at the trap when you trigger it and try to redirect your camera movement away from it right after, it will just be a mess and probably cost you a hit. A small but a very helpful tip for Dredge. As you guys know, with this ability, the Remnant, you can outplay many pallets and windows in the game. But if you place it on one side of the pallet and go around to make the survivor drop it, you can go as far as inside of the pallet, but it's very risky because if they stun you, your Remnant disappears as well. So the second they drop the pallet, I mean the literal second, you teleport to your Remnant. But you have to be very careful about your Remnant placement. If you place it close enough to the survivor, they can run into it to disable it. You want to place it around your max swing distance, so that puts them in a scenario where they want to drop the pallet because it looks like a free stun. And the second they drop it and they're in animation, you teleport instantly back and lunge into them. If you're about to go down near a pallet and you know that you may not reach it, you can start waving or pointing so your character will be stuck in that animation while going down. And it also prevents your character from doing a backflip while going down, which will allow you to move forward for a bit to get under the pallet, which will let your team play for a pallet save. And even if there's no one around, the killer might get paranoid and start looking for someone, and that will waste their time. Following the last tip, if a teammate is crawling a few meters away from the exit line and the killer is near you, you can start healing them, which prevents the killer from picking them up. And the second they hit somebody, the crawling survivor starts crawling forward, and then you repeat it over and over again. The more survivors you have around, the longer you can do this for. This trick can also deny the killer from getting a Mori on the survivor, because if they're being healed, they cannot Mori them at all. Sometimes when you're playing Whisker, it can be very frustrating to hit survivors around big loops. What you can do if there is a wall behind the survivor is to use your power to pump into the wall, and right after you click your power, you start holding A or D, depending on which direction you want to go. It allows you to slide on the wall, which will look like an extra mini dash, which will help you get closer to the survivor to get a hit much easier. And in some loops, it's always a guaranteed hit if you do it correctly. Honestly, not much more about it, just practice it on a random wall. It's very simple to pull off. A nice tip for anyone that uses wiretap. Some smart killers will suspect that you have it on certain loops, so obviously what they will do, they will kick the gen to get rid of the wiretap effect. blocked. But if you tap a generator for a split second and put a wiretap on it, it will look like it's completely 0% and the killer will not suspect it at all because the generator won't be doing any noise. The strongest survivor mechanic by far is a W key, the just running forward playstyle. As simple as that. So if you take a hit, where you go and how you go matters a lot. If you take a hit in the open and you don't reach anything safe, then it's most likely a quick chase. But if you go somewhere safe, the killer has to either commit to you or leave you. For example, try to take a hit right as you vault a pallet or window, so the killer is stuck in a cooldown animation on that area after they swing, and then they have to go all the way around or break the pallet or so to catch up. By that time, you're already on the other side of the map. And here I'll show you a difference of 2 hits, but one of them I decided to take the hit inwards towards the map, and the second one I tried to go to the edge of the map to delay the hit. But eventually I took a very bad hit and I didn't even make it to the shack window. On the other hand, when I took the good hit, I easily made it to shack window. So always try and take a very good hit. For all the chemical trap lovers out there, you can easily CJ tick with it. If there's a survivor on the ground by a pallet, you drop the pallet, and instead of vaulting like usual CJ ticks, which are very known and no killer falls for them anymore, what you do instead, you stand at the same spot and start placing the chemical trap, because during that time, the killer's prompt to break the pallet disappears, and they pick up the survivor instead. Then you go for a flashlight save. As well, this works with bada bada boom at windows. Exactly the same concept, but careful. You can get hit through the window while putting the trap down. Does anybody like this bada bada boom perk? I could never get it to work ever in game. Every time I put it, killers don't vault the window, and if I do, I get hit through it. If you're very certain that you will go down no matter what, there's this trick that kind of wastes the killer's time a little bit. You vault the window or pallet the second you get hit, and then you start crawling away as far as possible. That will save so much time because the killer has to now break the pallet or vault the window or go all the way around. That could be the difference if your teammate pops a gen or not. I saw once in a tournament that play actually was the reason they popped the last gen instead of the killer getting a pain res. Not many people know about this Wesker tip, even though it's really simple. For each survivor that is infected with Ouroboros, your power charges up faster. Normally it's 9 seconds, but if you have 4 survivors infected, you can get it back in 5 seconds, which is a 4-second difference. I don't know why I'm telling you it's a 4-second difference. I guess you guys can do the math, right? So it's 1 second per survivor. I actually had no idea about this until recently when I tested it out. So as a survivor, if you're being chased by Wesker, you gotta keep track on how many people are injured, because he will get his power much faster. Scourge Hook Pain Resonance is the second strongest perk for killer, right after Corrupt Intervention. And there's a really simple way to counter it. That is, if you know that every single generator is 0%. You can tap a generator right before the killer hooks somebody, and that will waste a charge of pain resonance on that generator.
After the doctor uses his shock therapy, he will be locked out of using his M1, and also he gets slowed down if he's shocking you. Use that window to your advantage to keep your distance and loop obstacles around the map to make it to the pallet or the window.
Meaning that you shouldn't always loop a pallet until you take a hit. Sometimes you can use random obstacles in the map and chain them together with a normal loop. As you can see in this chase, I'm using random things in the map to be able to connect the tiles together. So the doctor shocks ends the second I come back to the pallet.
If the killer is running the perk Dissolution, you can fastball a pallet in the killer's terror radius to put it on cooldown. It's really helpful if your teammate is in chase and you want to help them.
Houndmaster can be very tricky to go against, but a tip that will help you a lot when you go against her is that any endurance effect will force her dog to instantly let go of you. It can be off the record, dead hard, even the unhook endurance. An extra tip against her, always try to stun the dog. You can always camp a pallet, and the second the dog is on you, you just pallet stun them. Because without the dog, she's just trapper with no traps. If you're playing as Wesker, you can sometimes throw survivors in the air without them colliding with an obstacle to damage them. Instead, after you press your dash button, you should instantly redirect your camera towards an obstacle or a wall that you want to hit the survivors with, because if they don't hit anything, they do not get damage at all. It works best if you throw them towards a wall edge map, because they will be zoned, and after that, they won't be able to reach anything. There are a lot of spots around the maps in the game where you as a killer can hit over certain places, even if there's something between you and the survivor. For example, in RPD downstairs there's a loop with a pallet where you can hit over it, even while the survivor is vaulting it, but you need to time it right while they're vaulting, or the hit won't connect at all. Another spot is in Disturbed Wards, where you can hit through the grass if the survivor is hugging the loop. Ormond Lake Mine building also has a spot to hit survivors over it. You guys get the point. There are so many more spots that are scattered around multiple maps, which would need a full guide to go over all of them. Some killers have abilities that are area of effect, meaning that they can injure or infect more than one survivor. For example, if you're near a hook, as any of the following killers, Dracula, Jason, Wesker, Pyramid Head, Unknown, Plague, Bubba, Oni, and the Lich, you can time your power hit with the unhook animation to guarantee at least a double hit. It can work 100% of the time, but be careful. Survival will try to bait your power before unhooking, or some might go for body blocks depending on what killer you're playing. Hex totem builds are so popular these days. Crowd control isn't a famous one, but you might encounter it. At the start of the game, fast vault a bad window like a Z-wall to see if the killer is running crowd control. But do it only if you don't mind getting caught by the killer. And if they end up having the perk, when you get into a chase, you try to slow vault windows as much as you can, but only if you have enough distance on the killer. Otherwise, just fast vault and leave the loop instead of taking a hit. Against the trapper, you can hold the trap to untrap the trap for your teammates. That was a lot of traps. And close it the second the killer walks over it or try to swing at you. A lot of trapper mains love to abuse basement and trap every way out, so you should always be trying to help your teammates like this. Otherwise, there's no way for them to escape. Against Skull Merchant, you can crouch walk or stand still to avoid being hit by her drone. As you can see right now, when the radar is white, that means the drone cannot hit you. And if you end up getting hit by it 3 times when it's orange, you will get injured. A really strong Skull Merchant is always gonna try and hit you with the last drone hit, so they can instantly right after down you. So honestly, what you do, you either crouch walk or just stand still until she hits you. They're probably going to keep on redirecting the radar until you mess up so they can injure you, but all you should do is just stand still and make her just swing at you instead. Here, as you see, I messed up and she injured me, because if you get hit by the last stack, it will injure you, and right after she can just down you.
As Singularity, if you hold down your control button, it will give you an auto-aim which automatically tracks the survivor and infects them at the same time, so you won't have to predict their movement.
Here is me showing you when I'm going from camera to camera. As you see, normally it does not go right on the survivor. But if you hold down your control button, the crosshair will automatically teleport to the survivor. This is the best tip I've gotten from the #1 Trickster player in the world, Wasik. Since the major update on Trickster, if you keep holding down your knives, you'll get slower the longer you're doing it for. Considering you're only 4.4 speed, you will never catch up to survivors like that. Instead, throw 2 to 4 knives at a time so you don't lose any distance on survivors. Here is a comparison of when I'm just holding down power and spam shooting compared to throwing it every few seconds. But do this only in certain loops where you don't have a clear line of sight of the survivor. If they're in the open, you can just hold it down and spam it. Sometimes the best way to help your teammate that is getting tunneled is to send them to a jail, literally. If they stand in a corner and you stand right behind them, the killer is forced to hit you to get to them, which should give them enough distance to reach a safe loop or hide from the killer to get healed. It's a bit risky because the killer themselves can take the hit taker spot and block the survivor from running away, proceeding to down them. But this trick is best to do against the victor, because then he has no other choice than to hit the heal survivor, letting the injured one go. When you're playing Freddy the Nightmare, you can place a fake pallet mid-chase and time the explosion with your swing to get an instant down. It can be very challenging getting the perfect timing with this, and on top of that, you need a pretty good setup to get it done. But if you master this technique to perfection, the killer becomes so much stronger, because no one expects you to pull that off in chase. Versus the new Vecna, the first, you should never have 2 people doing the grandfather clock at the same time. It's such a waste of time to have 2 people on it because the difference is only 2 seconds. So instead of that, just do something helpful like a generator or healing yourself or your teammate. Unless you have literally nothing better to do, then yeah, maybe you can do it. Extra tip, stop tripling on a generator, instead spread out, because the difference between 2 people or 3 on a generator is exactly 2 seconds as well. Pyramid Head gets his camera locks from going up or down when he's holding his power. Use that for your advantage as Survivor to blind him if he tries to hit you or aim at you with his power. It can work versus any killer that uses projectile, but it's much harder because they can look up or down, which usually is not worth it because you're losing a lot of distance, unless you have Champions of Light. A lot of people don't know that the Lich also get his camera kinda locked if he's flying. He can turn a bit to the left or right, but he cannot look up or down, so you can try and blind him. But it's risky because he can cancel his flight on top of you and hit you if you got nothing around. Almost all the strong hag mains out there bind their teleport button to scroll wheel up or down to be able to instantly teleport the second somebody triggers the trap. While you're roaming around or doing whatever, during that time you spam your scroll wheel up or down, so the second someone procs your hag trap, you instantly teleport to them and get a quick hit. Because what this does, it makes it that you instantly teleport the second they trigger the trap. Doesn't really work on controllers, sadly. Also, from the other tip I said before, if you look away as a survivor when you're running towards the hag trap, you will never get a hit even if the hag has a scroll wheel on power. Almost the same like the last tip. For Billy, you bind your movement keys looking left to the Q keybind and right to the E keybind, because curving with keybinds is so much easier than using your mouse. Once again, it only works on keyboard and not controller. It will take a lot of time to get adjusted to that, but in the end, running it will be worth it, making curving so much more simpler. But honestly, it's up to preference, whether you want to use your keybind to curve or your mouse. But if you're new to Billy, it's better to start practicing curving with keybinds. That's what the strongest Billy mains told me. Lastly, you don't need to bind it to E or Q. You can bind it to whatever keybind you want. One more thing, this is a very silly tip though, but it's only good against Billy in a 1v1. You can actually crouch tech Billy's chainsaw around hatch because of the elevation that goes down. He can never ever hit you with the chainsaw. But in a normal game, just enter the hatch. But in a 1v1 scenario, it could maybe save you. Did you know that not only Pallet stunts get rid of the plague power, as well Head On is the only perk that can get rid of her blood power. We tried it with Blast Mine as well, and last stand, sadly it didn't work. She still kept her blood power, unless there is something else that gets rid of it that I'm not aware of. Maybe, I don't know. Against Audis, if your teammate is getting chased and they're either injured or being tunneled out, you can help them by eating the birds that the Audis are placing down, so that she can't use them against your teammate. This can also work if you're healthy but in a dead zone. If you're swarmed, you run into the bird and force her to M1 you, because taking an M1 also puts her in a fatigue, which will give you more distance. But you have to be very careful while doing this, because if you mess it up and get hit by a bird in her face, it's probably going to be a guaranteed 2-tap. So always prioritize to get hit by her weapon than her birds.
Michael Myers now has a base hit Mori on his tier 3 since his last rework. If you are dead on hook, try to get a teammate to help you. If you have Decisive Strike, make sure to enter a locker to force him to pick you up or wait the 60 seconds timer.
Otherwise, he will be able to Mori you even though you have Decisive Strike.
If you are going against a Krasue, always have to pick up a mushroom before you finish the last gen. She may have the Spatter Handkerchief add-on that makes the mushrooms disappear when the last gen is done. It infects you as well, and it makes her not drop mushrooms anymore.
A lot of endgame Krasues really love running this add-on, so always make sure to pick up one mushroom before popping the last gen. If you don't do that, the add-on will get you infected, and once you're fully infected, you're gonna be broken for the rest of the trial, meaning you can never heal up.
A good tip as Pinhead is to use your chains to scale generators, surfs, and fire areas on the map, instead of having to walk all the way there. It can save you a lot of time.
You could honestly do this from so far away, so instead of you walking all the way across map to check on a gen, you can just do this.
Dredge can be a really slow killer at the start of the game. If you want to speed up your nightfall gain, you can either enter a locker or spam your Remnant to fill the meter of your nightfall faster.
As you can see here, it's much faster being inside of a locker than not. As Xenomorph, when you spawn into the map, always enter a tunnel, because it makes it that you get your power instantly. As well as a survivor against Xenomorph, always crouch if you think the Xenomorph is around you, because they can see your footsteps inside of the tunnels. Same thing for Jason, if he's in his power, he can see your footsteps as well. So make sure to crouch if you think he's around you. But don't do it the whole game, because you're gonna be wasting a lot of time. A little niche tip that not many people know about is that you can window tech the killer if you have any of the following perks or items: either Clairvoyance, Singularity's EMP, a map, a key, or Dramaturgy, and probably more things I haven't listed. You activate them as the killer is vaulting, and you phase through them very easily. There is no timing whatsoever. and you can never ever mess it up no matter your timing. Lich's Flight of the Damned is one of the best anti-loop abilities in the game. You can react to it though, and you can crouch when you hear the audio cue. But be careful, if you're hugging a loop very tightly and the Lich puts the skeletons perfectly, you will instantly get damaged. Because once the skeletons are placed, they're gonna be right inside of you. So what you do, you take a little bit of distance away from the loop and loop it that way instead. So you have a little moment to react to the skeletons. But do not overdo it, because you can lose a lot of distance like this. You gotta find the right balance. If you're being chased by Chucky and you lose line of sight on him, you can listen to his laughs because they're always directional, as well his footsteps. That is if he's very close to you. Otherwise, they might be fake. The last tip of the video, 101. Leave your house and touch some grass, you stinky, stinky gamer. After this long ass video, you need it badly. Well, before we end, I want to ask you guys, if you like this type of content, let me know so I can do more of these. And if you have any tips or tricks that wasn't included in the video, write it down in the comment section. And if it's one we haven't done yet, you will be featured in the next video. For the people that are into the competitive side of Dead by Daylight, check out Zaka's content. I promise you, you will not regret it. And lastly, shout out to all the people who helped me in this video, especially my guy Nerf Kratos. Without him, the video would not be possible. Other than that, I hope you really enjoyed your time watching, just as much as me making the video. And I'll catch you in my Twitch streams at SweetYT. Peace!